Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of In the Dark. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. First and foremost, there's the opening and everything. Ben's cooking for Chelsea and Felix, and then Chelsea's like, okay, and kind of gives a little backstory about like, oh yeah, my mom died from cancer. Well, it turns out, it's like, she's like, oh yeah, Ben's been sober and everything. I'm like, all right, here we go. And it's like, yeah, like basically their mom wasn't getting the pain medicine she was supposed to be getting because he was replacing her pain meds with like vitamin pills or something like that. And it's like, oh, but he's good now. So it's like, I'd rather not let him know that I told you because, it's such a thing that he doesn't want to talk about. But it's, oh, he's good now and everything. Literally hard cut to him in the bathroom, like doing drugs. And I'm like, yeah, like just he had the telltale signs of an addict. And especially that line from one of the intros. It's like, I can't believe Ben did this to us. I can. So it's like, I had a feeling like just, and the way he was just so like jittery all the time. He just seemed like, and just the way he was around, like acting around Jess, I was like, oh, he had to be the one to take it. The drugs and everything. So there's that. Then there's Darnell meeting with Murphy and Felix. And Felix is like, hey, I don't think we've ever formally been met. Hi, I'm Felix. And he's extending his hands. Darnell's like, who the hell is it? It's like, what's up with this? It's like, nah, he's cool. He's fine. So Darnell kind of brings up, the plan of like, okay, how they're going to take down Nia. It's not going to be like an immediate takedown. It's going to be a slow process. Basically, they want Josiah to be in a position where he can take more, like her shipments, like take more and more power from her. And then that's how you kind of end up destroying her, essentially. So it was going to be a situation of, you keep the drugs where they are. I convince Nia that Guiding Hope isn't a good place to keep the drugs, so she'll be kind of forced to move him, and so change. That was supposed to be the event, and she's like, okay, so you basically showed up to tell us to do nothing, and he's like, well, yeah, I kind of had to do that because it's you, Murphy. You don't do nothing, So it's like, and even Felix doesn't say anything, but he kind of nods his head like, and that is kind of true. So obviously the whole thing is like, well, they can't really talk to anyone else about this because, well, they would show Jess because Jess was obviously pissed because like, oh, you guys made decisions without me. It's like, well, we want to include you in this, but you're not talking to either one of us. So it's a situation of they try to say something to her, but she's like, no, I don't have time or energy to kind of deal with either one of you. Bounce. But then, like, she saw, well, Sterling has to talk to her because Sam was like, yo, you need to end that. So she does. And obviously, it's literally the worst time because what does Murphy say? She's like, she hasn't said anything to me in the past 12 hours. So it's like, meaning it still hasn't even been a full day since everything went down last episode. So like it's still super, super fresh. And so to have this breakup happen on the cusp of that too is just kind of like hard. And especially because it's not like Sterling can admit why the breakup really happened. She's trying to be like, it's not, she's like, no, I get it. It's not me, right? So obviously Jess is just not in the best position right now. And obviously she kind of breaks down a little bit in the bathroom, which comes as no surprise considering just like I said, it's just like a lot to go. And you can see like even hearing the way she's breathing, it's like obviously she's heartbroken, but it's almost like she's having a panic attack at the same time. Then at the same time, there's a whole situation of Murphy having to be the one to call Nia and be like, she has to come up with some excuses as to why they can't make the delivery because they're supposed to make one today. But the moment she calls out Sam, it's like, oh, it's who cares? Like, there is no delivery now anyway. And it's like, wait, oh, okay. Yeah, and it's like, because it turns out, like, this is also how she finds out that Max is the one doing everything. And she's like, yeah, and Sam's like, well, how would she thought this was working? She's like, honestly, I never really gave it too much thought, which I think that in itself kind of speaks volumes of like Murphy's only looking like one step ahead. She's not, I mean, to be fair, they're not in a position where they really need to be asking too many questions. So she's just doing whatever she needs to, not realizing like how much all this is connected. So, but it's like now she realizes like, wait, Max is involved in this. She calls up Max's cellmate and he's like, yo, like Max got jumped because of all this. So Murphy's intent on like giving him drugs. I love that at first she doesn't actually have a plan and stuff like that. And Felix like, okay, go ahead. And she's like, what? Go ahead and lay it on me. The whole plan of getting drugs to Max. And then she's like, we can do that? He's like, no, we actually can't do that. And then she's standing there and he's like, why do I open my mouth? He's like, why do I talk? Why do I talk at all? It's like, I love that. Like, she actually didn't have a plan until you put it in her head. It's like, it's actually your fault this time. I love it. So they concoct the whole transporting the drug situation, obviously putting in like a little pixie stick things. And they're going to hide it on Pretzel. Then, like, Jess comes a knocking. Yeah, missing drugs. And it's like, we had nothing to do with that, honestly. But then, like, Jess wants to have nothing to do with it. She's like, shut up, Murphy. I don't have the energy to deal with it. It's like, oh, that's messed up, you know? But it's like, I get it. You have every right to be pissed, especially everything. Their lies create the situation you're in, and they also lied to you. So meaning they don't, it's like, but they were trying to protect you. It's a whole complicated, mess of a situation. So obviously Jess is also dealing with the fact is, she just had a breakup too. So obviously that's all up in, that's just kind of another extra reason to this whole situation, extra layer to this whole situation. So there's, that. So, but then, like, it clicks in Felix's head. Oh, missing drugs? It's got to be Ben. Yeah, he used to be an addict. Not used to be is an addict. And it's like, oh, man, he's like, oh, man, he looks super hard. Maybe he's just tired. And it's just kind of like, Murphy's like, you need to kind of jump on this. He's like, for him, he doesn't want to do it because he knows going after Ben, it's like, especially someone who's, it's like, it's something he's not supposed to know. So he knows that if it got back to Chelsea, it would piss her off. But nevertheless, he questions Ben. Ben, it's like, it's like, I mean, to be fair, he's an addict, so he's going to lie through his teeth. But I'm like, man, people, it's not but lies in the show. Lies upon lies upon lies upon lies. And he's like, yeah, I've been sober 92 days. It's like, yeah, my stupid sister told you that. And so when Chelsea shows up later, she finds out because Ben, like, blows up at her. He's like, the fact is, I'm just going to always be that screw it up brother of yours, huh? Like, the fact that matters. Felix, well, yeah, he brought it up. He believed that I'm the one that stole the dog drugs. Yeah, it's on you. And he walks away. And then, like, obviously later on, Chelsea, when Felix goes to meet with her, she, like, completely is pissed at her because it's like, how dare you accuse my brother? She's like, take your stupid sandwich and go. Like, not even want to give him the time of the day. It's like, to be fair, in his defense, some drugs went missing, and it's like, oh, you immediately jumped to my brother. Basically, I told you that in confidence, not for you to immediately use it against him. But even you have to admit, But to be fair, it's like she's willing to give her brother the benefit of the doubt. Oh, he's better now. So it's like, the fact is that, Felix would jump to that conclusion after all. So she's only seeing what she's wanting to see, because she even talks about the fact that the rest of their family kind of, he's the black sheep of the family, so the rest of the family kind of wants to have nothing to do with him. She's probably the only family that wants to have anything to do with him. So it's a thing of like, she's probably always been the person that's always had his back, believed him no matter what, even though it probably it was a lot of situations that ended up with egg on her face. I don't know. But so that complicates things. I also like that when Felix dropped Murphy off, and he's just kind of like, yeah, obviously I can't sit here and wait for you. She's like, yeah, just come back an hour. He's like, cool. And he like reaches over and hugs her. I was like, oh, that's sweet. She's like, wait, you're hugging me. That means you don't think it's going to work. He's like, what? Nah, what? Of course I believe this word. That was just a hug for good luck. And I love that. And he looks a little sad and, just kind of like, yeah, because he's like, yeah, if this goes down, you go down, I'll go down. But he's like, you'll most likely suffer the ramifications of it more than anyone. But still, so she has to like alter her plans because, Pretzel can't go in there with you. What? He was able to before. I don't know whoever let you slide before. I makes you wonder, was it someone that was connected to Nia that was working there that let that happen, or like what? Regardless, she sneaks them into her cane, so that's pretty impressive. Then her and Max is like, no, I'm here meeting someone, because I love that Felix was trying to make the text like he's like, or else, and she's like, what do you mean the or else in the text? He's like, no, I'm trying to make it threatening. It's like, it's not meant to be threatening. Just tell him, be here to pick up the drugs. It's like, fine. But nevertheless, when it's all said and done, though, Murphy kind of explains to him, like, I don't know if she explained everything. She explained enough of it for it to be like what have you gotten yourself into, Murphy? And she's like, slyly trying to hand him the drugs and everything. It is interesting, and I think this kind of speaks volumes. He does touch her leg first, but then it's just kind of a thing of like, he's looking towards her. They both don't say anything about it, but then he gets the drugs because she's like, yeah, can you fix my cane? He's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, some things I don't want to change, so that's why I keep it. And it's like, oh, obviously, like, there's subtext to the whole thing. And obviously when Max is like, you're crazy, and she's like, yeah, I'd do anything to protect you. And I'm like, oh, and it's like, and you kind of getting pissed at her kind of before, kind of treating her a little bit like shit. But even he's like, oh, so I kind of have you to thank for the fact is I'm still alive. It's kind of like, yeah. And it's like, so you owe her a lot. She's doing a lot to make sure you live. And so Max is like, okay. And he's about to say something, but he's like, never mind. Because I guess just with everything being as it is, like, it's not like they could have a relationship anyway. So I guess for him, it's a thing of like, why say anything? But, I'm curious would it have just simply been a thank you, or would it have been more? Who knows? But he calls up Sam to be like, yeah, I got the drugs. Just don't put Murphy in this situation again. Sam's like, wait, what? He brings up Nia. Nia's like, wait, what? bring Sterling in because she's supposed to be your eyes and ear. Bring Sterling in. Yeah, I broke up with Jess. I don't give a damn how you get the information. I'm supposed to know this shit. Sterling's like, all right. So it's like, well, Sterling kind of broke things up off with Jess, and then like she can't just worm her way back in and be like, oh yeah. But I guess now going forward, you're going to have to try and be closer to Felix and Murphy. So I'm like wondering how you're going to do. I mean, to be fair, this is actually all Sam's fault because of Sam's jealousy and everything and wanting you to end. Like, I guess, Sterling couldn't really say that because like literally everything that went wrong last episode was kind of on Sam. But to be fair, it's because things went wrong because of Sam. Like Jess was there to take care of Nia, so things could have went definitely a different way if Sam's jealousy hadn't gotten the best. So it's like it's hard to say. Like in this situation, it seems like it's kind of being bad, but it's like last episode worked out. Her jealousy now kind of screwed everything up a little bit, so put you in that position. So. And obviously, it's not going to be the easiest thing, like I said, warming back to Jess, which then you have Jess later on calling up somebody because she needs, because first she's, ordering, the replacement meds at the Guiding Hope, and then she sees blood. She's like panicking, like wiping it away because luckily no one saw it, but it's Nia's blood. And so she calls someone because she needs to talk to someone because she can't talk to Felix and she can't talk to Murphy about this. Only people she could really go in depth and talk to about this. I mean, truth be told, the only other person aside from that she could talk to would be Darnell, but I don't see her kind of turning to Darnell in this situation. But nevertheless, she calls up her ex. I was like, I didn't see that coming. I was like, whoa. And it's just like, yeah, like she's like hugging her. It's like, yeah, I've had a rough, yeah, like Murphy got me in some big trouble, worse than anything else. It's like, it's not on Murphy, it's on you. She's like, what? The fact of the matter is, it is on Murphy, but it's just so interesting because she's like, the mistakes you make are your own. Stop blaming Murphy for every wrong thing that you've ever done. Did Murphy push you to cheat on me and admit it in front of all my friends? It's interesting because she never threw that in Jess's face. Like it was in that phase of like, oh, we're in the process, we broke up and everything, so we're still in that, oh, we're both hurting, we're heartbroken type of situation. But it's like when she ran it, because it's ironic, because obviously, like, well, not ironic, because Jess ended up, thinking like, oh, you sent me a text saying like, oh, you want to get back together, but she's like, no, I was deleting your contact. That was like that awkward situation from last season. But nevertheless, it's a thing of like, after that, but she acted cool then. So for her to kind of blow up at Jess like this, but for her, it's like at no point, I thought this was you going to apologize or something like this, but it's like, don't act like you want to act like you're the victim and everything. The fact of the matter is, it isn't just on Murphy. Like Murphy isn't bad. You're just as bad as she is type of thing. So sorry if I can't help and walk away. I'm like, that sucks because Jess is in a very, very vulnerable, bad place because she literally has no one else to turn to in this situation. And for you to turn your back on her like that was super messed up. But to be fair, it's not like the circumstances. It's just kind of like you didn't, she just needed someone there to kind of hold on to. Like, things are kind of rocky right now. Immediately my brain was like, I hope this doesn't turn into a situation where Jess becomes an addict or something like that. Maybe like alcohol or drugs become her, like, way to deal with things. Like that's what this seems like. That could be like the beginning of that. We'll ultimately have to, wait and see. But I'm like, oh man, that sucks. So it's like that kind of getting thrown in her face. I'm curious to see what she does with that. Like obviously, I'm sure that's going to, that whole, oh, you're like Murphy, it's probably going to piss her off even more because it's like, no, I'm in this situation because of Murphy. It's like, well, to be fair, her ex wasn't too wrong because let's not forget, this all happened because her and Felix took the money, whose idea was kind of more so to take the money. Even Felix like, I don't want to do, it was kind of Jess's, so it's kind of like, ugh. So I'm curious, is she going to self-reflect and be like, yeah, I kind of put myself in this position and stuff? Like, I don't know. But like I said, I think that conversation is probably going to piss her off even more, make her even more mad at Murphy. It's like, no, how dare you say that I'm like Murphy? It's all Murphy's fault. It's always been Murphy, we'll see. Literally at the same time that's all, going down, obviously Nia found out about what Murphy did and is like, yo, Murphy, come in. Okay, so Murphy, the fact of the matter is, she's like, okay, yeah, I did that. I'm sorry. So no, it's good. I don't know how you did it. What if you did? Keep doing it. Actually, I want you to actually do it at the women's prison too. It's like Murphy did this shit so good. It's like you basically getting promoted because it's like, oh, you that good. It's like people keep thinking like, oh, I'm investing in guiding hope and stuff. It's like, no, I'm investing in you. The fact of the matter is, you kind of you don't rely too much on other people. You got your mindset on something, you do it. And so Nia, when she sees in Murphy what her, she sees herself in Murphy. So it's like, that's what this is all about. Like, because like Sam kept wondering like, why you trust him? But it's like, it's more so than anything, she trusts Murphy because she sees herself in Murphy, you know? And it's like, holy girl, Murphy's like, but she's like, yeah, you have so much love and loyalty to other people. I just need you to make sure you share it with me, you know? So it's like, you know, make sure everything's kind of copacetic, but it's like, wow. I mean, to be fair, it kind of screws up Darnell's plans. We'll get to that soon enough. But I think because of this, it makes things actually better because now it brings Murphy closer to Nia's operation. She becomes a lot, because Darnell will never get that close again. Murphy, on the other hand, can, because like Nia might not necessarily underestimate it, but might be like, oh man, you bad. Come on, like join my inner circle. So I think that might be the direction they might end up taking with that. But you know, we'll kind of have to wait and see. Another aspect to this episode is like the questioning I was loving. It's like, Chloe's like, so why didn't Murphy call you a murderer? It's like, oh, Dean, how you gonna handle it? She's like, yeah, he's not really explaining anything. He's like, Murphy's a liar. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, you dick. Like everything he uses, like, everything he says against Murphy, it's like, you're such a piece of shit, because it's like, you're literally describing yourself. You're basically taking everything she's ever thrown at you and kind of throwing it back at her, especially because Chloe looks up to Murphy. She thinks like, you know, yes, Murphy might not be the best role model, but like for Chloe, it's like, yo, like, I think for her, it's like, oh, Murphy's like such a dope friend. Probably thinks of Murphy kind of like a big sister, you know? And then, like, she goes to work with Dean, and Gene's like, yo, what's up? Yeah, I'm your dad's partner. And he's like, oh, yeah, your dad's told me so much about you. And Chloe's like, yeah, really? That's funny. He hasn't said anything. He never mentioned you. And Gene's like, okay, that hurts. That really hurts. And she's like, don't take it personal and stuff like that. It's like, you know, after everything with his last partner, he's like, yeah, it sucked, you know, Jules died. I thought she got transferred. I was like, Gene was like, yeah, I must be confused with something else. He's like, shit, I messed this up bad. And then later on, he brings it up. He's like, so yeah, Dean, because he's like, oh yeah, let's go get lunch. And Gene was like, all three of us? And Dean's looking at him like, are you fucking stupid? No, I just mean me and my daughter. But the fact of the matter is, when it's all said and done, like Gene tried to, you know, okay, I kind of let it slip that Jules is dead. He's like, yeah, I thought you told her. It's like, well, I didn't. So he's explaining it later on, like, oh, what happened? It's like, oh, she's like, another thing you're keeping from. He's like, all right, but this is the thing that I'm keeping from you. He's like, no, you're not, you piece of shit. But I can't help it. Like, I like Dean because he's such a piece of shit. And it's just like, ooh, you're such a deceitful dickbag. Because the thing is, everything from season 1, you have to go in retrospect. It's like, oh man, it makes him such a D-bag. He's been lying, manipulative the entire time. And because the entire show painted him like he was a good guy, then you get the reveal. The problem is now with his character, we know he's a dickbag from the beginning. So every little maneuver he makes and everything he says and does, it just makes you go, ooh, Dean, you bastard. And I think that's a cool thing about his character, which is weird to refer to a terrible human being as a cool person, but still, I will always throughout this season be like, damn you, Dean, just because of that, you know. It's just so interesting. It's a very complicated, conflicted feeling I have about it. It's so interesting. Regardless, he's painting it like, yeah, Jules, like she died when I was away with Murphy, and then, you know, I wasn't there. And the fact of the matter is, he was like, well, the fact of the matter is, you know, Murphy wasn't sympathetic at all and everything. I was like, oh. And he was like, yeah, basically, and Cole's kind of like, you know, first form is like, oh, so that's why she called you a murderer. He's like, yeah, like the fact of the matter is that Murphy said that because she knew it would hurt me. It's like, oh, you're such a scummy piece of shit. Because it's like, to be fair, you literally, it's like, that's not what Murphy meant, because Murphy doesn't know that he's responsible for that. But it's like, the fact of the matter is, he's the reason why Jules is dead. He literally told Nia to kill her, you know, so it's like he is a murderer in that regard too. It's not just, you know, Jules he's responsible. I mean, it's not just, I mean, Tyson, he was directly responsible for. With Jules, he was indirectly involved, you know, so. But now you know that this is him turning even Chloe against Murphy. Probably. I don't know. I'm curious to see kind of what ends up happening there. Like, you know, Chloe, like, her dad is her best friend. Like, she loves her dad, so she's not going to distrust him. It's actually interesting because, like, I don't know. I'm curious to see what ends up happening there. Like, whether she probably is, and that's going to cause more of a rift between her and Murphy. To be fair, Murphy's not going to be around her anymore anyway, because Dean's just going to cause more. Like, that circumstances was created because Chloe called her and it was like, oh, she was at a party, she could have gotten in. Like, obviously she cares about her, so she's trying to look out for her. So there's that whole, can of worms. There's also another interesting aspect of this episode is the whole Josh thing. We sadly learned that Josh's condition is getting worse. Side note, his doctor, I'm trying to remember what I've seen that actor for. I've seen him in something like fairly recent. Like, I've seen him in the things, but I just can't remember what the most recent thing was. But like, sadly, Josh's situation is rapidly, his eyesight is like rapidly deteriorating. And so even to the point now, even though he hasn't fully lost his sight, he has to, use a cane and everything. So this is interesting to see how we're slowly kind of developing that story more and more. And I guess that's part of the reason why he called Murphy in the middle of the night, because it might have been a thing of like, oh, like at that point, like when the story gets there. I don't know, because to be fair, remember, that's like a couple days from now. Last time we checked timeline-wise, that's like still like maybe 6 days at this point. So it's like, would his eyesight have completely messed up to the point he's like, oh God, Murphy, I need to go, or was it something else? We'll still have to build up to that, kind of find out. But another snafu to this whole thing is like, oh yeah, Ben saw Murphy and Felix hiding the drugs, and I love that whole thing between. He's like, oh, so you still love Max? And she's like, what are you like? You're not my gal pal. And she's like, I don't know. And it's like, that's a yes. She's like, shut up. But now he's using this to blackmail. And she's like, yeah. And the sad thing is, Felix like, yeah, so sorry I accused you. She said, oh no, it was me. What? Yeah, Chelsea's mad at you. He's like, yeah, sorry. I kind of figured out what happened, but still sorry. All right, well, you're going to get fired. Can't have you working here and everything. It's like, oh, yeah, like, I saw the heroin. So how about you give me like a $500 bonus to my checks? And I won't tell, because if you try to tell Chelsea, you had to tell your situation. He's like, you don't want me to go to the cops. So now he's being blackmailed. Chelsea's like, oh, yeah, my bro said that you apologize and everything. Like, are you mad? I'm sorry and everything. And it's like, for him, that he's going to avoid being around Chelsea because he's going to feel guilty, because it's like, that's always going to be hanging over his head of like, I wonder, he probably hasn't told Murphy yet that he's being blackmailed like that. To be fair, Ben's in the terrible situation, because it's like, this is the circumstances you don't want to get blackmailed in, because if it gets slipped out that, oh, Ben's a problem, oh, Nia's going to take care of that real quick, like she took care of that whole, Jules situation. So that has to be kind of considered as well, with everything. So there's all of that. Then there's the whole situation of, Murphy and, Jess, because Jess is like, I can't be around you, so she was going to, like, go to a motel, but Murphy's like, oh, I should be the one. She's like, okay, and just kind of, and she's like, okay, yeah, I guess it's okay. Like, Murphy was like, oh, you didn't even try to resist or anything, like, you were just kind of like, okay, and she's so upset with Murphy, but more so, it's a complicated thing of, like, yeah, she's mad at Murphy, but because of what her ex said, I think it made her kind of a little mad at herself. It's like I said, she's just doubly mad at Murphy right now, so... To be fair, I think Murphy was right in that circumstance, considering the fact is that, to be fair, the person you would have went to talk to about it would have been someone that was already on the inside of this all, but still, it would have been a thing of like, yeah, she's talking to you about it. Who knows who else she might be talking to? So it might have still been a situation that led to Jess getting killed, because it's like, oh, you have a big mouth. Like, even if you just talk to Sterling, that might still be a thing of like, yeah, she shouldn't be telling anyone about this, because Sterling's whole thing was like, well, if she's going to tell anyone, I'd rather her talk to me about it, even though she still hasn't opened up to Sterling wholeheartedly about everything, rather than the police. Yeah, that was kind of Sterling's, like, position on the whole thing. But nevertheless, Trey obviously is like, okay, so you're gonna get Nia to move her. Yeah, she's a little paranoid about moving her drugs, but I'll get it situation. Dude, Josiah, and it's like, I know, man, it's gonna work. Oh, Nia's like, actually, we're gonna keep it at God and Hope. Murphy proved herself. She did. Darnell showed up at God and Hope. You what? I literally told you not to do anything. You did something anyway. You literally did what I told you not to do. Even Felix was like, this is the one thing he told us not to do nothing, and you still want to do something. So it's like, to be fair, she's willing to do and cross whatever she needs to do to protect Max. It's like, hell, you chose not to kill Max, so you get it. Which even he was like, yeah, I kind of get it, protecting someone that you care about. But it's just like, it screws them over, because it puts them in a position where Josiah is like, oh, I want you dead. But now we see that Trey knows where the drugs are at, or at least he has a feeling of like, oh, you meet with this person, oh, you must know. So it's like, okay, so and now it's going to be to be fair, it's understandable why Trey's going as hard as he is, because his life is on the line. Because if this thing goes bust, Josiah is going to put a bullet in him. So it's like, as we see, he has no hesitation putting, people down, especially Trey, who said like, oh yeah, I bet my life on it. He vouched for, Darnell. So for him, he's extra motivated to get this done. So I'm assuming Trey has something to do with the whole Ben situation. Maybe not. Maybe it's Darnell. Because the person who had the gun, it seemed like it was a white hen. So that's why I'm like, it had to be like Jess or something. Maybe Sterling. We'll see. But a lot of interesting things. Like I said, just like, once again, the domino effects just never stop in this show. So I'm really, really, really interested to ultimately see where all of this goes, taking us going forward into the next episode. I went a roundabout way to say that, sorry. But to the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good